Every marriage has 3 rings. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the bicker ring. We're here to settle the fights that don't matter and have no winner. It's the 3 Rings Podcast with another new argument.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. My name is Phil.
I'm Lauren.
And
we're married.
We are married. We are indeed married. Coming up on, it'll be 4 years married?
4? Yes, 4. Yes. I thought
She said very confused and insultingly.
Insultingly? Whoa. I thought we were going to be, for some reason I had it in my mind that we were married for 5, but that's wrong.
That's not how years work.
Nope. That is not. That is not.
Coming up on 4 years of marriage.
Time's meaningless, though. So
it truly is.
whatever.
We have really lost the concept of time when it comes to, once the pandemic started.
Yeah, I was just having a conversation with our friend Ashley about that because she asked me how long ago it was that I'd done something, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was 6 months ago, but it feels like it was like last week. Like time is like, it feels like faster, it feels slower, it's feels
really, yeah.
Everything's kind of blending in together.
But when we think about some of the things that have happened in this year, it feels like a lot of it happened a year ago.
Yeah, I saw someone posted something. It was like happy March 1143rd. Yeah. Like it was
pretty much. But when you think about it, like, I mean, the big pop culture thing that really took off right as the pandemic was starting was Tiger King.
Yeah.
And doesn't that feel like it was
a long time ago?
Ages ago?
Yeah. Now Carol Baskin's dancing on Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, she is.
I don't feel like that's going to go well.
It probably won't, but I've said it as soon as they broke the news about that. I said I will watch if she dances to a Joe Exotic song.
Okay, that's fair.
I feel like that's the only reason people would tune in. It's like if she doesn't dance to, I Saw a Tiger, I don't care. I truly don't. Like, all the other contestants, sure, fine. Let's watch Nelly dance. Who cares?
I'm kind of interested in watching Chriselle Staus.
Who?
She was on Selling Sunset.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. But other than that, no interest whatsoever.
Yeah.
I've never gotten into Dancing with the Stars, so.
No.
I liked So You Think You Can Dance back in the day, but that was like regular people.
Yeah, no.
No, not a dancing competition person.
No. I remember, speaking of things that are super old at this point, there was I forget the name of the movie, but it was the director of some dance movie, and started up like this whole like dance crew, and it was like back when like YouTube was first starting out, basically, and they had this whole dance competition against like Miley Cyrus and stuff.
What?
Do you remember this?
It was a
Adam
movie?
Chu, I think his name was. It was the Adam Chu dance crew.
No, I have no idea what
I feel like
this
I've
is.
shown you this before at some point, but yeah, that was like the only dancing thing that I got into. I'll have to show you this video.
Was it like a competition, or was this like a movie?
So he made a movie, and then like they made this whole video of a whole bunch of like different dancers doing stuff, and like Miley Cyrus was doing like a little like video blog podcast thing on YouTube, and like basically like didn't like it, so they challenged her to a dancing competition. She made like her own video, and then they made another video, and like it just went back and forth, but it was all like in support of like this one movie. I think it might have been like Step Up. I can't for the life of me
I literally
remember.
like have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm typing it. Yeah, the Adam Chu dance crew. Like if you Google Adam Chu dance crew, it's the first videos that pop up.
Huh.
So yeah, go and check that out for all the dancing fans. But that's super old. Speaking of time, we got way off track there. I'm
really
sorry.
Did.
I'm sorry. We're already too far into this. we should probably get on with this week's argument.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went off there.
Last week, you kind of ended things saying that I didn't care about this particular topic. And then, and when we were going into it, I've been putting this episode off because I don't care. But when I was researching it, I kind of got into it.
Oh.
Yeah,
interesting.
The character that I chose had a way more interesting history than I even realized. So that's kind of like what got me into it.
All right. Well, this week we're debating who is the best superhero, and I am very curious to hear your thoughts on this because it's now. I mean, we're in episode 30 something. I kind of lose track after a while. But you have now switched to not putting your notes on the same sheet as me, so I don't get to see any of your stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what you're going to be picking.
I feel like when I say it, it's going to be the obvious choice.
Probably.
I chose Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I figured that's what you were going to go with.
Yeah. But I thought Wonder Woman was cool. Like, I thought she was neat. Her backstory is way more interesting than I thought.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch the movies after this now.
Yeah, I am. And I mean, like, my mom was a really big Wonder Woman fan when she was a kid, because she was a kid when the show was on.
Yeah.
And, like, really loved Wonder Woman. But, like, I had no idea that, like half of the stuff about her.
Okay.
Who did you pick?
I picked The Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay. All right.
I thought, so here's my thing with my pick. Like, I think that the two most obvious answers that people are going to go with are always going to be Batman and Superman. I feel like those are usually the main two that people will go with.
I kind of thought you would go with Batman.
Nope.
Okay.
Here's my hot take. I don't think that Batman should count as a superhero.
All right. Okay.
He has no powers. He's just really fucking rich.
That's fair. So there's not really like a huge difference between him and like James Bond.
Yeah. I mean, he fights crime and he does, all the cool stuff.
But what would you categorize Batman as then? Just a hero?
He's, a hero, depending on whose viewpoint it is, vigilante.
All right. Okay.
But he is just a billionaire who wanted to fight crime and stuff, but he didn't really have any special powers.
Elon Musk decided that he was going to be like a...
It doesn't make him a superhero.
Okay.
I
feel like that's fair. You know what? Now that we're talking about it, I feel like that's fair.
I do love Batman, like all the Batman movies, like the comic, like I'm a fan, but I don't think that he should really be a superhero.
Okay.
That's my hot take. You can pipe off in the comments section and tell me I'm wrong. Don't care. Bring it. I picked Spider-Man.
Right. Okay. Well,
you can go first since I went first last week.
I was just going to ask. Okay. So number one for Wonder Woman, right. She's a role model for young girls.
Fair.
Number two, her motivations are extremely pure.
Also fair.
Number three, she has badass powers.
Also fair. I would argue that she doesn't have as more badass powers as Spider-Man, but okay.
You do give us the outline of your 3 points, right. And then I'll get into
my 3 points for why Spider-Man is the best superhero. Point number 1, he's a very relatable character outside of the gained powers. Just his character as a whole, very relatable. Point number 2, one of the most successful superhero franchises of all time. And point number 3, Spider-Man's impact on pop culture outweighs all the other superheroes. Okay.
All right. I feel like you got more like detailed than I did, but I feel like
I focus more on like the overall spectrum of Spider-Man, and you focus more on Wonder Woman as a character.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, that's what makes these arguments interesting.
Yes.
So,
all right.
Let's hear it.
So she's a role model for young girls. So this is kind of like where I started getting into her history a little bit more, and it's super neat. So, so the whole point of Wonder Woman was she's feminine, but she's super strong.
Yeah.
And like she was literally created to defy the like damsel in distress tropes that were prevalent during the 1940s. So she was created by psychologist and writer William Moulton Marston and artist Harry G. Peter, and her appearance was actually inspired by two real life women, which, scandalous, was Elizabeth, William Moulton Marston's wife, and their life partner, Olive Byrne. So they were like a polyamorous like throuple.
They were a throuple.
Yeah, who like the character of Wonder Woman was created like based on these two real life women that were in this guy's life. Yeah. So she was also inspired by early feminists, especially birth control pioneer Margaret Sanger. And like I said, she was created during World War II to defy the whole like every female character in pop culture at that time, in movies and comics everywhere, were these women that needed to be rescued. And the whole point of Wonder Woman was she was repeatedly shown rescuing herself.
Yeah.
She was the one that was getting out of like a bind.
Yeah.
So over time, she was kind of misogynized, especially when they introduced her into the Justice League. They kind of like got a little bit more into that damsel in distress trope that I talked about. However, and this is like just kind of a fun fact, Gloria Steinem, feminist icon Gloria Steinem, kind of got her out of that trope when she put Wonder Woman on the first issue of Ms. Magazine, which is like a feminist like magazine. So after that, she kind of like regained like in her strength. Like the comics about her started focusing more on like I don't need a man kind of like topics. So I mean like that's like a really good thing for little girls to see, especially because like, you know, she is definitely like a sex symbol.
Yeah.
But she's also like, she doesn't have a body that's like outrageous. Like you see these like video game characters where their boobs are like massive. They've got this really tiny waist. Like their body is just like unattainable. Whereas like the whole point of Wonder Woman was she was created to be athletic looking. Yeah. She wasn't supposed to be like extraordinarily skinny. She wasn't supposed to be like extraordinary.
She's
like
an Amazon too.
Yeah. Like she's not supposed to be like hypersexual. She's supposed to be like athletic. Like I can kick your ass if I want to kind of woman.
Yeah.
So then, number 2, reading into her backstory, her motivations were extremely like pure. In her original story, she leaves her home where she's an Amazonian princess, a very comfortable life without any men in it complicating things for her. Yeah. But she left because Steve Trevor crash landed into her civilization and needed to be returned to the US, and she ends up staying and helping fight Nazis.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's pretty badass, yeah.
It's so cool. Like, she had to have been such an icon for, like, women at the time. Like, because, you know, we were in this, like, super interesting period of time where women are entering the workforce. Women are having a larger role in the military. And, like, you've got this, like, Amazonian princess that's like, okay, like, Nazis, let's go.
Right,
like,
I got my invisible jet and my lasso. Like, let's
fuck
shit up.
Yeah, right. Like, let's go. So she kind of, like, and, like, too, like, think about the fact that, like, again, at the time, the culture, and you've got this guy who crash lands into her civilization and he needs to be rescued.
Yeah.
He's the one that needs to be like taken care of. So like that was like iconic. We stan. She has like, okay, so number 3, she has badass powers. So she is described as being as beautiful as Aphrodite, as wise as Athena, as strong as Hercules, and as swift as Hermes. So like that's a lot. She's got a lot going on.
Hermes, right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's Hermes.
Maybe.
I'm sure.
Someone will correct us.
Thank you.
She has really cool, like accessories. She's got the lasso of truth. She has the indestructible bracelets, and she has a tiara that's essentially like a throwing star.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm like really like, not to like cut you off with this, but like now I'm really, really interested to see how you react watching the movie. Like,
yeah.
I think you're gonna be like, I think knowing all of the background, I think you're gonna be way more into the movie when we actually watch it now.
Probably, yeah, probably. I think I'm more invested in her as a character. Like, she's kind of like, she's way cooler than I thought that she was. Okay, so she's like insanely strong. Like, in one of the comics, she lifts like a 50,000 pound boulder over her head. Like, awesome. She's trained in a variety of martial arts. And she's often, even during the Justice League, like when when things kind of took a downturn for her as like a character and in her story, but even in the Justice League, she was often portrayed as like the wisest and most empathetic out of everyone. Yeah. Because she, like, I guess she has like an abnormally long like lifespan. So she's been around and she's like got all of this knowledge that she's collected over time. Yeah, and I think, not to really help your case here, but I'm trying to remember which movie it was. I want to say it was Batman vs Superman, like the movie that came out, where like she basically like shows up in the middle of like this big fight, and it's like, oh, look at her go. Yeah, like she ends up like taking over. Yeah, so I think it was in Batman vs Superman. Yeah, but so I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, Wonder Woman, I'm here for it. Didn't think I was going to be as into it as I am, but like she's pretty cool. Okay. That's all you got? Yeah, that's all I got. I mean, it's a compelling argument. Here's my thing. When it comes to all the superheroes, I think that, you know, they all have interesting stories and they all have, you know, their different attributes that make them super cool. And like, I mean, I'm not going to hate on Wonder Woman. I think it's a solid choice. Pretty damn good. I don't think that Wonder Woman is better than Spider-Man, though. Okay, I'm interested in hearing why. Okay, well, my first point, you know, Spider-Man, outside of his powers and everything, when you get down to just Peter Parker, he's a very relatable character. And that was on purpose. So he was a normal teenager. He was grown up in Queens in New York City, and then, you know, gets bit by the radioactive spider. We all know the story of Spider-Man, essentially. Like, I would say 99% of people probably know the origin story when it comes to Spider-Man. So up until that time in comics, teenagers were typically the sidekicks. So you had Robin for Batman, you know, like that was typically the role of the teenager, the younger person in any of comics. So Peter Parker, he also had a self-obsession with rejection, with inadequacy, with loneliness, which a lot of younger comic readers were able to relate to, and still today are able to relate to. So, you know, that part of his character. Here's my counter to that. While they might have been like sidekicks, at least there were teenage boys in comics. That's thing with fair, Wonder Woman is that there weren't any women. Or if there were, they were the ones that needed to be rescued, or they were only there to be like the love interest. They weren't the superheroes. At least teenagers had Robin. They had, like, you know, somebody to look at. And like the whole like self-obsession with like rejection and stuff, like that's usually like, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if that's great. No, that seems a little emotionally unhealthy. Well, that wasn't the point. It was to make him relatable, but also show how he was able to overcome all of those things and
all of that. So there was more to it than like this
Okay.
is just how he is. And also, to be fair, I mean, Wonder Woman is an older comic than Spider-Man. Wonder Woman, like you said, came out during
Yeah,
World
but,
War II.
like, how
Spider-Man
many
didn't come out until
more-
the 60s.
They're really like, for every like 3 male superheroes, there's one woman.
This isn't an argument over male versus female. Like we all know how all of that's going, and it's not great. Okay, like it.
But it's a point that needs to be brought up.
which is it's a fair point. My counter to that is that they recognized that there weren't female superheroes before they realized that the teen audience that was buying comic books was starting to fade out of all of that. And that's why they introduced
Okay.
Spider-Man and made him
I don't know if that's
very
more
relatable.
compelling, but
But again, the being relatable is what drew more people back into comics and back into the franchise. You
Okay.
had somebody as a character who was relatable. You set everything in a real place. It is set in New York City. It's not set in Gotham. It's not set on some planet. Like, it's not Metropolis. It's New York City. So it's a place that people can identify with. It's a place that, again, is relatable. And he's somebody that, gives that impression of be like, I could do this. Like, I could be Spider-Man. Like, I just need to get bit by a spider, essentially. Like, he's not a billionaire. He's not an alien, So there was a lot that was going for him. So, that's why, his identity is, it's Spider-Man is almost the secret identity as opposed to Peter Parker being the secret identity. It's almost kind of flipped that way. He's a flawed superhero with everyday problems.
okay.
So, he has to deal with all of those things while being a hero in
Yeah.
New York City.
Okay.
So, point number 1 right there. Number 2, one of the most successful superhero franchises of all time. So, Spider-Man was declared the number 1 superhero on Bravo's Ultimate Superheroes, Villains, and Villains TV series in 2005. Pretty big. Empire Magazine placed him as the 5th greatest comic book character of all time. And Spider-Man is the world's most profitable superhero. So in 2014, global retail sales of licensed products related to Spider-Man reached about $1.3 billion. So comparatively, this amount exceeds the global licensing revenue of Batman, Superman, and the Avengers combined.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself. Spider-Man is also one of the highest grossing franchise titles, being the highest grossing American comic book superhero, estimated at $25.6 billion worldwide.
I could say something again about gender inequity, but I won't.
Just say it. Just go for it.
Well, he is an extremely profitable character, but also female characters haven't been given the shot to be profitable. So stacking that up against Wonder Woman, she hasn't really been a prevalent character in our lifetime up until
now,
recently.
Yeah. But
so
also, again, to be fair, Wonder Woman did come before Spider-Man.
yeah, but she
And
hasn't gotten enough attention because
Spider-Man,
most likely because she's a female.
okay, we could get into all of that. But Spider-Man basically saved the entire franchise. Without Spider-Man, it would have gone bankrupt.
Yeah, the movies were up until that last
Oh,
one
this was before the movies.
Really?
We're talking the comic.
Oh, really?
Creating the comic is what really helped save Marvel.
Interesting.
Yeah, that without Spider-Man, Marvel would have gone bankrupt and been done.
Huh.
Yeah, so the comic helped basically save that
Gotcha.
and produce everything that we now have today because of it. So
Interesting.
yeah. My third point for why Spider-Man is the best superhero, his impact on pop culture. It completely outweighs everybody else. When you look at all the different heroes that you had to choose from with all of these different franchises, Spider-Man taking that number 1 spot. So
Really, even above Batman, you think?
I mean, definitely pulling in more money.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Batman was it was easier to make the Batman movies because of like the dark mystery and all of that. Spider-Man, I feel like would be a little bit tougher because of like having to shoot webs and flying around and stuff like that. Like if you go back a ways, I feel like that'd be tougher to make. But that's just my opinion kind of thing.
People, I think, like, you talk a lot about like the Batman and Robin show in the 1960s, but there wasn't like a Spider-Man show, and you think it was all because of the special effects aspect of it.
They made an animated Spider-Man show.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll get into it. But first, before I get into the TV, the movies, all of that, probably the biggest impact that it's had on pop culture is, with great power comes great responsibility. That quote in itself, I think even if people don't really, I mean, I don't know how they would, but I think people that don't know Spider-Man or even into Spider-Man, they can still relate to that. But it's otherwise known as the Peter Parker principle, and still used today in the worlds of law enforcement, in journalism, in politics, public safety, all of them. They all use that quote, or they at least try to. So Spider-Man is also the face of the Marvel franchise, and even being the one mentioned when Marvel became a public company on the New York Stock Exchange, with the tag on everything being Spider-Man is coming to Wall Street. So the face of Marvel, the comics and the TV show have been used for multiple scientific studies as well.
Really?
Helps children deal with parental abuse issues, and they also use them to help people overcome arachnophobia. Oddly enough.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that one was
that is cool.
Pretty interesting. Yeah. So also in the pop culture realm, Spider-Man was brought to Broadway. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
With U2.
All I think about is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah.
Where it's like they've got like 40 of the Spider-Men suspended.
Yep. So brought to Broadway with the help of U2. That was back in 2010. He's been incorporated into a whole bunch of different contemporary artwork, most notably from Andy Warhol, Mr. Brainwash, many others that I don't really particularly know, but that was just a list of everything. But combine that with the impact of, the animated TV shows, the different franchises for the movies. You had the Tobey Maguire ones. You had Into the Spider-Verse was huge. And now you have, the new Spider-Man that's been attached to basically the Avengers and all of that, with the spin-offs coming from Far From Home and Homecoming, with everything that's rolling with that. So still continues to be, kind of front and center when it comes to Marvel. So, I mean, when it comes to pop culture, he's doing all right for himself.
He is.
And it's only been, close to 60 years?
Yeah.
I mean, he was created in the 1960s. So,
all right.
Just saying. That's why I think that Spider-Man is the best superhero of all time, and could probably, I don't want to say he would kick Wonder Woman's ass. I think it'd be a good fight to watch, though. I don't think they've ever fought. Never seen them fight. So. I think Wonder Woman has fought Batman and Superman, but I don't think.
But I think that isn't she DC and he's Marvel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it probably won't happen ever.
I mean, in video games it's happened. so there's that. But you can chime in. You can let us know. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like, no, it's Superman. No, it's Batman. How can you say that Batman isn't a superhero?
I feel like this is going to be a big one.
I could have just completely gone the complete opposite direction with all of this, and I would have been like, yeah, the Ninja Turtles are the best superhero.
I thought that the Ninja Turtles popped into my brain. Do they count?
I mean, I guess in a sense they would.
But super. It's the super part that gets weird, because
Heroes in a half shell.
Batman not technically a superhero.
That's what I'm saying. People will argue against it. I know people are going to argue against it.
You count Batman, but you wouldn't count Luke Skywalker.
I mean,
would you count him as a superhero?
I mean, that's up for debate, I guess. He's definitely a hero, and he has the Force.
Maybe we should do an entire episode on what constitutes as a superhero.
Maybe.
You let us know.
Yeah, somebody is going to explain it to us, and we'll be like, all right, we don't have to do that show anymore. But yeah, you can chime in on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram at 3 Rings Pod. That's THREE Rings Pod. You can go and follow us, like us, like us, all the things.
Share us.
Yeah.
Rate us, review us.
Yeah, find us on all the different platforms, whether it's Apple Podcasts, whether it's Google Podcasts, on YouTube, on Spotify. We're on basically everything. So share us with your friends, give us good reviews, all that stuff. It helps us. It makes us look a lot better. And yeah, that would be nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, in advance. Thank you. So next week we're going to be talking about, and this is an interesting one. We'll definitely get into it a little bit more. But we'll tease you and just say the greatest bop.
A universal bop.
Universal bop.
Like a song that no one says, I don't like that song.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
all right.
that'll be next week. So we will talk to you all again then. In the meantime,